Okay, this is video number 3, Orot HaKodesh, Chelik Aleph, Perek Gimel, called Tuv Chachmas HaKodesh. So it kind of means like, translate the word Tuv here. The word Tov in general means kind of like something which we want, something which is good. Usually the word Tov is translated as good, but good always means, by definition, the concept of good has to be subjective. It has to be according to a particular person's wantings. If it's something which is happening, which you don't want, so then it's not going to be good as far as your perception is concerned of that thing. So it's always kind of built in. You can't just say something is good in general. It has to be good in a particular context, your personal or a larger systematic evaluation of why something is good. So Tuv Chachmas HaKodesh means what's good, like what's desirable, why this is something which is wanted, why people want Chachmas HaKodesh. So let's just read a little bit. It's a very short piece, actually. Chachmas HaKodesh. So that's the Chachma we've been discussing until now, which is, again, the system of that which is beyond, or kind of outside of what it is that we see in a measurable sense, but the intangible beyond system, which we're going to try to elaborate on what that is as we go. B'tahara u'b'amitasa, when you have it in its real form. Amitasa means like we usually translate as truth, means like truth. MS means something which is real, which is very, it's something which is in existence. So as opposed to things which are false, or things that are illusory, illusions, or things that are just not in existence. We can describe things that we think we can imagine as being in existence. We can make stuff up, and those things are not actually real. We call that not true, but things that are true are things that actually exist. And there's obviously different parts of existence. There's very tangible, very intangibles, which is what we've been discussing until now. But we're saying here, when you have Chachmas HaKodesh in its real form, B'tahara means like without any kind of warping or skewing or some kind of version of this Chachma that is clean, that is really in its full manifestation. When it is manifest in the world, when it is revealed in the context that we are currently inhabiting, He mechayes hakol. That actually somehow it almost like it animates everything. It makes everything kind of more vibrant, more alive. So alive is kind of a vague word, but vibrant, you can kind of get a sense of what it is. It's kind of like if you have a color, so it's a brighter color. So if you have a taste, it's a brighter taste. Sensation is a more intense sensation. These are examples that we can relate to in terms of our bodies. What it means to be mechayes hakol, that it animates everything. He ain't a tzoreres shumada. It does not, tzoreres means like to contain, like from the word tzor, which means like a pouch, and like the word mitzrayim, which means like narrow space. To be tzoreres, so it means that it would contain it, or kind of keep it in a narrow boundaried space. He ain't a tzoreres. It does not do that. It does not keep things in narrow space. Shum mada, any knowledge, v'shum godol v'siguv, and any type of greatness or kind of like beyondness, gvura v'hod. We're going to not translate these terms right now exactly, but call it strength, or we'll translate hod for now as some kind of shining or intense shining. We'll leave it without getting too deeply into that word. Raki me'ateres. So in other words, what we're saying is that it doesn't contain any of these things. Raki me'ateres is like, it's kind of like it kind of crowns all these types of qualities. In other words, we have all the greatness in the world, all the knowledge in the world, all the strength, all the different aspects of the olam that he's talking about here, the world around us. So this does not contain those things within it. The Chachmas HaKodesh does not really contain those qualities within it. Instead, it's kind of like a backdrop or a context or an underneath of all those things. He me'ateres es hakol. The word me'ateres in the language of atara, which means like kind of like to crown or to surround this thing. B'shifas tzedakah. So he me'ateres hakol b'shifas tzedakah. It kind of surrounds or contextualizes all these qualities. B'she'ifas tzedakah means with a yearning for what's right, or what seems to be like accurate. To be tzodek means to be accurate, to be right, to be, we usually translate it as righteousness. Tzaddik is someone who is righteous, but think about the word righteous is a funny word, because translated usually as to be righteous means like you're a good person, but these are all kind of vaguely interchangeable terms. Like to be righteous essentially means to be right, to do things that are right, but right according to what? So the concept that we're starting to develop here is that the Chachmas HaKodesh is actually an objective truth. It's objective because it's not just something which comes from within this measurable place that we live in. It's something which is from outside, and it's sort of like a system that underlies all of the things that we experience in the tangible world. And so what we're saying here, we're starting to claim here is that there's some sort of like underlying reality, underlying truth, underlying system of what is that we're describing here. And so whenever you have like almost like the awareness of that underlying system, the Chachmas HaKodesh context, so then it just adds vibrancy and realness to the visible context that's around us. So we say that it adds she'ifat tzedakah. It means that it's kind of like it's ingraining a yearning for what's right, But like what's right means according to that objective system or truth. B'tova uve'an v'sanusa. So it does that through its goodness. We'll translate again for now, and it's an v'sanusa means like it's humility. In other words, this quality, this system, this chachma, this set of rules or understandings or perspectives, however we're going to describe this as we go, is something which is very subtle, it's very nuanced. It's something which is not grandstanding, it's not very loud or in your face. It's something which is kind of just there in the background, and when you sort of access it, then it fills life with vibrancy and fills this context with life, which is vibrancy. So that's really what this is saying. So let's go a little further and see what we can make out of this. Kol she'ifos hatzedek b'chol tzadeihen ba'olam haklali. All yearnings for what's right already, all yearnings for that rightness, that accuracy of understanding of reality, in all different sides, different ways you could look at those things. Ba'olam haklali, both in the general world, v'adam prati, and in a person's individual life, we're talking about like the national scale or the world context or a person's individual life. Motzaos hein al yada es mehuan ha'amiti. These different settings or contexts or people or situations, they find through the Chachmas HaKodesh, they find their proper destination, their proper place where they fit. And they are aided, assisted through this Chachmas HaKodesh, lehisgash musam, to sort of like the word like leid gashem means to materialize, to make something like the word geshem basically is called geshem because it means materialization. The rain makes things materialize. When this liquid goes into the ground, it makes things come out of the ground. So Litgash Musa means the materialization of all of their of all their things they're trying to do, to accomplish, to create in this context. So when you add this, when the Chachmas HaKodesh is kind of part of the system, when you have your hand kind of outside linked to this Chachma, and you're operating inside of the system, so then being attached to that outer chachma, the objective chachma, while doing this, it activates you, it actualizes you. And again, we're just kind of laying ideas here. All good intentions, hakluos merazei kodesh, that kind of, let's say, ideas or thought processes that are in harmony with this chachma. Hakulos min Razei HaKodesh that are kind of included that are within the system of, we'll call it for now, Razei HaKodesh means like, Razim means secrets, which basically the Razim of the Torah means secrets that are things that we can't talk about so much because they are primarily experiential. They're kind of included in the realm of what we call the Das, which is the understandings, that the knowledge that is experiential knowledge as opposed to the Bina side of knowledge, which is things that you can kind of process or grasp. The Bina side of knowledge always relates to things that are measurable, that are inside of the context that you see around you, whereas the Das is the tool we use to process or to encounter that which is intangible, which cannot be measured and yet is profoundly, viscerally real. So that's what the word Razim means, the secrets of the Torah in that sense. Razei Kodesh means the secrets of that which is Kodesh, which is that which is beyond, as we discussed in the first video. But Torah, in the Torah itself, which is the instructions of how to create this heightened, expanding consciousness. But tefillah, it's a particular process within the Torah, set of tools, which we'll discuss that later at some point, what exactly tefillah is. Uve mitzvos, and mitzvos also is another category of tools. Hakol yachad, all of these together, v'chol pratehen, pratiosan, hinan shvilim, all their details, hinan shvilim, these are pathways, hinan shvilim, they're pathways, legalos al yadam es oso, or to reveal through these different tools, this light, also or ha'elyon shel Chachmas HaKodesh, that light which is the beyondness. Now again, the light here is not literal; it's an analogy for perception, for clarity of understanding. Because or means things you can't actually see light; you see things in a certain light. So the or ha'elyon means there's some kind of light that is beyond or above, at an analogical level. It's not actually literally above, but it is sort of beyond our, like with this setting, which is time and space and relativity and all these things. There's some kind of not that, some kind of beyond that. And we're sort of trying to like drive inside of the context while having one hand on that outer dynamic. So all these tools that the Torah is about and contains within it, and the system of Chachmas HaKodesh kind of contains, they're all pathways to kind of walk towards more and more and more encountering that Chachma. So, and the last line he says, "Kedei la'aviyah sa'ofa kedosha azos ba'olam," in order to bring that light and that Chachma, that way of seeing things, more and more and more into the world. To sort of satisfy what every living thing kind of wants to already encounter, which is in the immediate moment and also in a long-term sort of picture. And what we're really saying here is that all the kavanos hatovos, all of the types of ideologies and tools and perspectives that are tovos, in other words, that are objectively good. I mean, in other words, they are good in the sense that they will help you to achieve what the Chachmas HaKodesh is about, which is the objective truth of reality. So any tool that you have that will help you to do that, so then that means that that's a pathway now to getting to that greater clarity that the Chachmas HaKodesh is supposed to give you. Now, just to clarify what this is in a little, because I just think that he doesn't really speak it out fully yet, and it's kind of hard to keep saying, we'll explain this soon, but this is really about what we said in the previous videos also. It's about consciousness. In other words, if we're saying here is that what we really are about, the whole idea of this Chachmas HaKodesh is about the intangible aspect of what we are. And that intangible aspect is that you are a self, that you are an awareness, you are a self-reflective awareness of yourself. It's like a cyclical almost pattern in which you're a loop where you're thinking about yourself. You are self-awareness, you're a consciousness. So that's something which is not measurable in a physical sense within the system, but it's something which is very real. And is, according to what we're claiming, the whole Torah is really a theory of consciousness, of how to actually experience that self more and more inside of what your personal experience and in the people around you and in the larger reality in which you live. So that's really what he's talking about here. That's really what we mean when we say trying to access this light that is beyond and bring it kind of more in. So then we will be releasing or creating more consciousness, more awareness in the world within ourselves and within other people, and then connecting ourselves to those other people and to the larger context around us. And that kind of creates more and more and more awareness, which is what we call in the Kabbalah terms, the Shechina, which means the presence of that intangible self that we're all kind of aspects of. So that's really what this is saying. I hope that was relatively clear. It's a pretty short piece, so we had a relatively short video. Hope you all enjoyed, and see you at the next video.